Good morning. I'm the Reverend Jim Foti, your sabbatical minister, and it is my honor to welcome you to our service today, November 6, 2022. This week, our worship team includes Patti, Alex, Meg, and Aaron, and we are grateful to see you all here today. Hope you're feeling super well rested. Did you make use of the hour? Did you stay up too late? No, you're all well behaved. I stayed up too late. I want to extend a special welcome to everyone who's watching online and to remind everyone that you can catch up on our services on YouTube if you missed a week on our YouTube page. We have a few quick announcements. I think we'll start with one from the floor, right? We had somebody who wanted to make an announcement from the floor. Okay.
And on behalf of the Social Action Committee, I just want to bring people's attention to kind of one of our bigger upcoming community projects. It's the Christmas Clearing Council, and I know it's early, and I apologize for that, but Jenny McAllister already put the little tree up in the fellowship hall, and on there you'll find tags for... Okay, let me just back up, sorry. So Christmas Clearing Council is a local agency, and we've partnered with them for the last several years where we sponsor children from the families. They have to qualify financially, and the ask is to spend $75 per child. Now, no one has to, donate that much. So we have tags on the trees with things that the kids need. Most of them are, clothing, socks, a few toys, but mostly practical things. But if you don't want to shop or can't, there's a few ways to donate. And this is all in the newsletter, but I just wanted to make sure, kind of hit some of the highlights. So you can give me cash if you're comfortable with that. You could give me a check, or you can donate online and then indicate that you would be donating for the Christmas Clearing Council, or likewise, you could do a check and in the memo line, write for Christmas Clearing Council. Any dollar amount is accepted. And then what we typically have done in the past is if there is leftover money, if we get all the gifts for the kids, then we usually get a gift card for a local store for the families. So we are sponsoring 8 children this year. That's kind of typical to what we've done in the past. There is one family of 5 children and one family with 3 kids. And then the deadline to donate is December 4th. And again, I know that's early, but Christmas Clearing Council asked that we get the gifts to the families by December 14th. So a lot of information. Come see me if you have questions. Thank you very much.
Oh, we got another one.
Yes, okay. I'm Kay Wickenberg. I'm just promoting pancake brunch.
Oh, I already have that.
It's a Sunday after Thanksgiving. It's a simple thing. We're not going to be fancy, just some pancakes. A couple things need to happen. We need one more griddle if you have one, so come all.
All right. I already had that in my announcements, so I'm going to scratch it off here. All right. Paul and Susan are taking a vacation, so the building and grounds team needs help cleaning the church while they are gone. If you cannot join the cleaning crew on Fridays, there's a sign-up sheet in the fellowship hall. Some jobs take only 10 to 15 minutes and can be done at your convenience. So see Susan and Paul, who are here somewhere. Where are they? There they are. They're back there. All right.
One more thing. We do it at Fridays, and I will be here at 9 in the morning to open the door, so just come on in and I'll be here.
Okay, everybody heard that? 9 in the morning, Fridays. The door is open. You can come in and use all your cleaning energy. Yes.
I'm reading. I'll go when you're done.
Okay. All right. We do have more than announcements in this morning's service, but we're going to get through these. All right. Ladies' Night Out has a schedule change. They will gather at Hop, Harvest, and Vine at the Good Harvest Market on Thursday, December 1st, RSVP with Paula. And then later this week, we have the Healing Springs Sangha and Soul Matters. Details on these and other events are included in United's emails, which you can sign up for at our website. Who doesn't get our emails? Is there anyone who doesn't get our emails? Excellent. Very good. Very good. Okay, we got one more from Patti.
The brunch and pancakes is after a short service. The service is modeled after a Native American giveaway blanket ceremony. And there have already been questions. This might answer some of them. It might not answer all of them. The newsletter and the whole thing is, we need to get word out. The plan for the giveaway ceremony is to have it spread here in the middle. We've had that kind of ceremony, it's been some time. The thing that it said in the newsletter was it's kind of like flower communion, but it isn't like flower communion. What you bring to give away is something that you have enjoyed at home, something gently used but still in good condition, something that you might actually wish you could keep, but you have the willingness to let someone else enjoy. Not exactly something that you were going to put at the curb, something you would like to give someone else the opportunity to enjoy. The giving away is a heart offering. Don't go buy new. Look for something that you are open to parting with that someone else might like to have. It's like bringing the flower and then having it go to someone else in the community. But, okay, does that help?
Does that give my wife permission to donate me?
There is a husband and wife I've known for a long time, and one of the things that she said after getting, I think, a vacuum cleaner or some other appliance as a Christmas gift is that appliances are not gifts. So if you're done with a vacuum cleaner, don't bring it here.
All right. I'm also supposed to remind you that we have childcare today. Is that correct? Do we have children today? Is a good question. No, we might have childcare with no children. Okay. All right. Well, we're ready, though. We are ready, should any come. And if any of you are new around here, we would be so grateful if you would introduce yourself after the service and stop downstairs for fellowship, coffee, and conversation. And now I invite you to center yourself for worship as we hear some words from Patti.
I recall a time when I was asked to speak to a group of parents whose children were identified as having special learning challenges. I spoke about planning for change in terms of skill building. I wanted the parents to know something about backward chaining and forward chaining as methods to build a multi-level skill one piece at a time, from one end or the other. That's not the difficult part, and I spent more time talking about the underlying challenges. Now, you may ask what I mean by chaining. So as a very quick example, if someone isn't yet able to tie shoelaces, you start with either the physical step of crossing the laces and move forward in sequence, or with the last step of pulling the bow tight enough to hold and go backward. Enough for now. I want to emphasize another idea that I pointed out to those parents. Beyond where you choose to start with physical actions, the place to really begin change toward newly learned skills is with thoughts and beliefs. You must see it as possible and often convince someone else of that. You will have to use active, forward-moving words. I told the parents they needed to be mindful of words they said to and in front of their children, and change them if they could hear what came out as words unsupportive of progress. I can tell you 3 contractions that uphold the status quo and keep change or progress from happening. Contract up by definition. Most have stuck energy, and they lack motion. Imagine hearing someone say to you every morning that you can't tie your own shoes. Would you stop trying when that's the message repeated? Or that you won't make your bed? Would you give up your power, leave the responsibility to someone else? What is working in the background in these cases is a combination of fatalistic language and habit energy. Staying with habits for too long can let stagnation set in, making it that much harder to get any change underway. The thing I was telling them underneath the lesson on using chaining to teach was not to let their children hear them, accept things, believe they were permanently this way, and give up effort on making changes. The third word is don't, and all the other variations of the verb do that convey not doing. It may be more defeatist and invasive than the others. When it's part of a voiced belief, it comes out as such statements as, "We don't have a fighting chance." Then, do you even suit up to compete? In the word choices of those parents, it would be or had been, "She doesn't know how." The language I offered for replacement is adopting the habit of saying, "isn't yet." It allows the door to be open a little for change to happen if someone can figure out how to make the key available to whoever needs the skill in question. It hints that it's about time to teach one another how. There's a shift in language that sounds like a belief that the future will be different. Behind the words, thoughts shift toward wondering if we can figure out the way to ignite the change. As today we will collectively be working to imagine what isn't yet true in our world and thinking about taking action to make it so, I wanted to have you pause and consider briefly what both can be and what you might tell yourself that lets a door crack just slightly open.
Each Sunday, we light the flame of our chalice, which is a symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith. Please join me in saying the words on the wall. May this flame kindle within us the warmth of compassion, the glow of love, the fire of commitment, and the light of truth. Here together we gather and nurture the seeds of spirit, service, and community. Thank you. We'll now take a moment to greet one another, say hello to people you know and people you don't. Don't sit down. It's time to sing. Please join us in our first song. If it's in the teal hymnal, if you need the notes to follow along. Otherwise, we have the words on the wall. It's called Building a New Way. It's number 1017.
We are free. We can feed our every need. We can feed our every need. Start with love, that is the seed. We can feed our every need. We can feed our every need. Peace and freedom, it is our cry. Peace and freedom, it is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Without these, the world would die. Peace and freedom, it is our cry.
All right. Who needs coffee when you got that? All right. What's up next is our Time for All Ages story, which is created by Amanda Gorman, who is a young poet you might have heard of when she appeared at the most recent presidential inauguration. The short book is called Change Sings, and it will be read by Meg.
I can hear change humming in its loudest, proudest song. I don't fear change coming, and so I sing along. I scream with the skies of red and blue streamers. I dream with the cries of tried and true dreamers. I'm a chant that rises and rings. There is hope where my change sings. Though some don't understand it, those windmills of mysteries, I sing with all the planet and its hills of histories. I hum with 100 hearts, each of us lifting a hand. I use my strengths and my smarts, take a knee to make a stand. I'm bright as the light each day brings. There is love where my change sings. I show others tolerance, though it might take some courage. I don't make a taller fence, but fight to build a better bridge. I talk not only of distances from where and how we came, I also walk our differences to show we are not the same. I'm a movement that roars and springs. There's a wave where my change sings. Change sings where? There, inside me, because I'm the change I want to see. As I grow, it grows like seeds. I am just what the world needs. I'm the voice where freedom rings. You're the love your bright heart brings. We are the waves starting to spring, for we are the change we sing. We're what the world is becoming, and we know it won't be long. We all hear change strumming. Won't you sing along?
Do we still do this if there's no kids? No? Okay. Wasn't in my handbook. All right. There you go. Excellent. Very good. As we slow down and for our time of prayer and meditation this morning, as we take a moment of pause during this busy and dizzying world, let us listen to these words from the Reverend Teresa Ninan Soto about being here for each other. I know sometimes you get cranky and sometimes your tea gets cold before you drink it. Sometimes the news is too much. The resistance seems too little. That's real. But we are here, imperfect and together and reaching. You can hold my hand if you want to. I washed it with soap. It's okay. In this kind of time, now is better than later. Now, I love you. Now I am sorry it hurts. Now I witness your struggle and mine. Sometimes one answer is to be a yes in the face of every no. I am a yes for you, now and again later if you need me. As we pause to reflect on those in our lives who are a yes in the face of many no's, and as we reflect on those whom we love and whose lives we witness, let us now share a moment of silence together, which I will end with the chime.
Each week in our congregation, we take up an offering. We pass the plate during worship to make a community expression of thanks for the blessings of abundance in our lives. Our offering reminds us that the act of giving is essential to our spiritual well-being and a key part of being in a covenantal community. The morning offering will now be received.
Each week, we build our sense of community by sharing milestones in our individual lives, those joys and sorrows that make up who we are. If you have something you would like to share this week, please come forward to the microphone here. Tell us your name and what's on your mind. Take a stone from the bowl as you do so, and when you are finished, place the stone in the bowl with the water, and let the ripples carry your concerns and joys out to the wider community.
I'm Jeff Blankenmeyer. I have two joys. First, this past week, we had the chance to have Chet Salenza come by and do some trimming in our yard. And the one thing, the joy about that is the fact when you get Chet doing the trimming, you not only get the trimming, you get a floor show. The other joy is we are getting our grandson today, and we're going to have him for the next couple days. So we are absolutely thrilled about that. And thanks for the floor show.
I have one joy and one sorrow. By the way, I'm Susan. My sorrow is that Paul's brother died very suddenly. He had a massive stroke, so it's been a bit of a shock for the family. And my joy is that so many people are stepping up to help us with the building while we're going to be away. And I just want to give a shout out to some people who have been doing this for years, because some of you probably don't know who they are. We have Jeff, who does our vacuuming. We have Tootie, who dusts. And then we have Sarah, who cleans the bathrooms. And there are 5 of them, and it's a job that everybody wants. And Sarah's going to be stepping back from that. And Sarah, I just want to say, I don't know what we would have done without you all these years. You have truly been an inspiration to all of us, and I have a very small token of our appreciation. And then my other joy that I want to share with you is that we now have somebody who's going to come in once a month and do some deep cleaning, and that will help the committee. We won't have quite so much to do, so I'm really looking forward to that.
I'm Patti, and I'm going to share 2 joys that both have to do, well, they're related. Last Sunday I wasn't here because I was invited to the DeKoven Center, which is an old converted convent complex in Racine, to lead and teach Dances of Universal Peace to a live in-person circle that had 20 people in it. It was wonderful to do that with live together people. Not that doing a Zoom or a hybrid thing is not wonderful, but hearing the voices and seeing the people dance with one another was a big gift. Next summer in August, the Parliament of the World's Religions is going to be in Chicago, a lot nearer than it was a few years back when I went and David went to Toronto to attend it. And the early bird deadline for registrations has been extended into early December. And I'm registered, and so are a number of other people that I've drawn together. But I've also put 2 proposals in, hoping to be in their programming to do the Dances of Universal Peace. One that I put together with Selena Fox, who was here, Reverend Selena Fox, in July, that we heard from in our sanctuary. And the other one with Linda Hurst, who has been a member with us for a long time and the chair of our Religious Services Committee. And once upon a time, a long time ago, we planned a dances service here in February, and we got boo-coo obnoxious snow, and we couldn't hold it. And I'm modeling the program for that with Linda after a UU service that we would have done at that time. So it comes full circle.
And we'll put one more stone in the bowl for all those joys and concerns that remain in the silence of our hearts. Please join in our musical response.
Walking with you is our prayer.
I knew it had 2 pages. This is not a responsive reading, and yet it is. This is titled Election Promises by the Reverend Mark Bellatini. I hear the polls are going to be open on Tuesday. All day. Good. I certainly intend to go to them. I certainly invite you to go to them and vote too. But today, I say the polls are not just open on Tuesday. I say they are open every day, every hour, even here, even now. Right now, I am going to vote for the robin's egg sky, the vanilla clouds, the purple shadow spreading under the ginkgo tree. I am going to vote for tulips and redbuds. I'm going to vote for love that does not have to run in someone else's circles in order to be love. I'm going to vote the homeless into homes. I'm going to vote the uneducated into classrooms to teach them in the way they learn best, not the way that would be most convenient. I'm going to vote the sick into healing. I'm going to vote the lost into belonging. I'm going to vote right now for the right to dream of a world where the world politics doesn't stop me in my tracks, and where the word honor still has a few good meanings left. I'm going to vote right now for the power of free people to actually be free, no matter who they are, no matter who has abandoned them, no matter who hates them. I actually am going to vote for love. I'm going to vote for truthfulness as the norm, not the exception. I'm going to vote for a world that doesn't vote for killing, control, and swagger. I'm going to vote for you. I'm going to vote for me. Right now, right here. Silently, but for real.
Thank you, Patti. Just want to point out that really is the name of the talk, subject to change. It's not that I couldn't decide. It actually is the name of the talk, so. So one of the great things about the Unitarian Universalist tradition is that you get to pick your own scriptures, like fabulous poems. It's part of that free and responsible search for truth and meaning, and it's part of our 7 principles. And one of my personal scriptures is the Gospel of Calvin and Hobbes. For those who may not be familiar, Calvin and Hobbes is a comic strip that ran for 10 years in more than 2,000 newspapers around the world. The strip depicts the adventures of a precocious 6-year-old boy named Calvin and his ever-present sidekick, a surprisingly eloquent stuffed tiger named Hobbes. The strips are full of satire and social commentary and eye-rolling family members, things that I'm all very familiar with. And these strips, now decades old, can still make me laugh out loud. Among my most prized possessions is the complete Calvin and Hobbes, which is a 4-book, 1,400-page collection of every strip that was published. I put that on my Christmas list after the 2016 election. Santa came through. I asked for those books as a means of self-care, for taking short breaks from the real world and its woes. And I will say that after long hours of consuming too much news coverage, reading a few pages of comics for a dose of levity is still a helpful step to take. There are a lot of theological issues that pop up in Calvin and Hobbes. The 2 main characters are actually named after major historical theological figures. And as a minister, I've led workshops using various Calvin strips as jumping off points for deeper reflection and conversation. But this morning, I just want to focus on one recurring element of the comic series, the transmogrifier. To you and me and Calvin's parents, the transmogrifier may look like a cardboard box with some writing on it. But adults have such limited imaginations. For Calvin, the transmogrifier is a machine that can transform any object, usually Calvin, into something else entirely with just the turn of a dial and a quick zap. Calvin's original transmogrifier had 4 settings: eel, baboon, bug, and dinosaur. Pondering these options, the ever-thoughtful Hobbes had a question. What if you want to be something else? He asked. No problem, Calvin says. I left some room. Whatever you want to be, just write it in. They do write some more things in, and while playing with the transmogrifier, Calvin soon turns himself into a tiger, just like Hobbes. He complains of how warm he is now that he's covered in feline fur. He notices that he's much hungrier than he was when he was a human being. And he becomes quite agitated with his long-suffering parents when they somehow fail to notice that he has become a tiger. Readers may have fun watching Calvin turn into a tiger or a frog or back into Calvin, but you and I understand the truth of the transmogrifier. At the end of the day, we know that Calvin's parents are reasonable and right. Calvin did not actually zap his way to tigerdom. Transformation rarely comes that easily. The transmogrifier is a dream of many a kid, and its appeal tells us much about human reality and humanity's relationship to change. That relationship is frequently a binary one. Either we really want change, or we really like certain things the way they are. With capabilities that are literally incredible, the transmogrifier speaks to long-held human hopes for quick changes, for magic wands and magic potions, for elixirs and fountains of youth, for shortcuts to getting us to the next great thing. It also speaks to the all-too-human dream of wishing to be able to flip a switch and put things back the way they were. How change happens is on a lot of people's minds in this time we are living in. For several years now in the United States, we have been seeing changes going on all around us at a dizzying and often terrifying speed. Political change, pandemic change, climate change. A lot of people are quite exhausted by all the adapting and decision-making and extra work, all these things that come when life seems not to stay on course. And there doesn't seem to be a map indicating when or whether the road will finally smooth out. And as much as we might dream of doing so, we can't stick the whole world into a transmogrifier. There's just so much hard work to do. In some ways, that hard work has not been as much about creating change as about responding to change that has been imposed upon us. In recent years, our minds may have become less oriented toward progress and more oriented toward damage control or preservation, trying to save things like access to reproductive care or any health care, or trying to save elements of our natural environment. Struggling to keep the world from backsliding can feel less joyful than moving the world forward and onward and upward. But there is one upside to things having gotten this bad. In times of slow but general progress, people with relatively comfortable lives tend to sit on the sidelines and not worry much about the world as a whole. It's actually one way to define privilege, the privilege to do nothing differently because you and the people you're closest to are already fine. But the ongoing crises of the past several years have been affecting and activating a much bigger portion of the population. People who do not want to see the climate or racial equality or basic human rights change for the worse have been changing their priorities in order to speak up and show up. With so many people in the same boat, there are more of us to help bail it out. Even as hatred and ignorance seem to get more and more attention, there are increasing numbers of people who understand that we're in a place that we have never been before, as a country and as a planet, and that the only liberation is collective liberation. Since we know we just can't instantly transmogrify our way to a better world, what can we do as inhabitants of the real world with a real understanding of the stakes? Every minister I know and many, many lay leaders have been spending a lot of time figuring out what to do, both short-term and long-term, and striving to find the most effective balance of doing the work and caring for ourselves and each other. And so, as we hold our collective breath in these days before a very important election, one that is coming amid years of swirling change, we are fortunate to have many streams of wisdom to draw on. The first piece of wisdom is, don't actually hold your breath from now until Wednesday morning. I say this not only for your benefit, but also for mine, because I do catch myself seemingly to forget to breathe in these times that seem like kind of a precipice. Breathe and pay attention to your body, to the places where stress lives, and to the places where you get nourishment. I've been reading a new book called Trusting Change by UU minister, the Reverend Karen Herring. In an interesting connection to Patty's words earlier, Reverend Herring's book has an entire section called Not Yet. Not Yet. And Reverend Herring makes important points about the physical experience of change. She says that listening to our body's wisdom will unlock a vast storehouse of internal guidance for living well with change. This includes the body's messages of pain as well as its capacities for healing, joy, and resilience. She also says that imagination is a key component of change, and it's a fully embodied experience to have imagination. And creativity really benefits from the physical movement and flow that we take part in. Adrienne Marie Brown is a Detroit-based author and activist, and she dedicated an entire book called Pleasure Activism to the idea that making change in the world shouldn't just be another form of labor. Brown urges us to pay attention to what our bodies are asking for. In her book, which came out in 2019, she writes about how being in right relationship with body and self can fuel the power to bring about change. She says this, I have seen over and over the connection between tuning into what brings aliveness into our systems and being able to access personal and relational and communal power. She says this also, conversely, I have seen how denying our full complex selves, denying our aliveness and our needs as living sensual beings, this kind of denial increases the chances that we will be at odds with ourselves, our loved ones, our coworkers, and our neighbors on this planet. There is no way, she says, to repress pleasure and expect liberation, satisfaction, or joy. So some kinds of sacrifice may be necessary to bring about the good kind of change or to prevent the bad kind of change, especially during short, intense periods of activism. But taking care of yourself and your full humanity is part of how change happens. The Reverend Kathleen McTeague is a UU minister who is the first director of the UU College of Social Justice. In the span of her career, she traveled to some of the most troubled parts of the world, like Haiti and Nicaragua. She learned a lot from those experiences. And in an essay in a recent book about climate justice, she lifts up the importance of spiritual practice when facing challenging circumstances, whether those challenges are on the micro level of your individual life or on the macro level of our country and world. She defines spiritual practices broadly: worship, prayer or meditation, movement practices such as yoga or Tai Chi or dance, or things like writing, singing, and making music. Done with care and intention, McTeague says, we can turn many routine elements of our lives into practice. The specific activity matters less than how you approach it. She says the three keys are intention, attention, and repetition. Something as simple as a walk around your neighborhood, done regularly and with purpose, can easily serve the purposes of a spiritual practice. McTeague says that spiritual practices help us remember to ground ourselves in something bigger than ourselves, to remind ourselves of the whole picture. Spiritual practices help us stay present in the moment, rather than analyzing the past or worrying about the future. They can help us cultivate the qualities that move us toward our best selves: qualities like compassion, patience, forgiveness, and courage. And spiritual practices help sustain us through the difficult emotions that can come with change. She says this, "These practices do not resolve the problems we face, nor do they magically take away the feelings that arise when we see the true dimensions of these problems. Despair, discouragement, helplessness, and confusion may still go parading through our hearts, but spiritual practices help us hold them within a larger context." I want to note here that this community has a number of spiritual practices available to you. You see the value in this way of being. I also want to pause here and point out that the sources of the wisdom I've just quoted are women, queer folks, people of color, a parent of a non-binary child. When times are tough and seem to be changing for the worse, or the good kind of change seems a long way off, the wisdom of marginalized communities is a good place to turn, whether or not you are of a marginalized identity yourself. People whose needs have not been centered by the larger society have experience with long-haul justice work, finding the motivation to keep going and embracing opportunities for fun and joy. There's much wisdom and advice on offer, and I recommend taking it in. I also encourage white folks in particular to take care not to do their learning from marginalized communities in ways that are extractive, entitled, or colonizing. Put more simply, take care not to expect marginalized folks to do the work of teaching you unless they offer. They have enough going on. A related message I've heard many times is for white people to do their own homework. And actually, this is another thing that's already happening here right in your congregation through your anti-racism change team, which has change in its very name. This points to perhaps the most significant piece of wisdom about change, the benefit of community. Having a community is so helpful, whether it's to foster change, resist change, or cultivate change in yourself. Self-care is important, but community care is what human beings were born to provide and born to receive. There's a whole second sermon I could give about how self-care is a product of capitalism telling you to do things that the whole community should be doing for you. Not to. As Reverend Karen Herring puts it, the most transformative changes we face as humans require alignment and relationships of interdependence with others. There's another word we hear in our 7 principles. Many marginalized communities are well attuned to this truth, she says, but dominant white culture has often undermined it. We need each other's observations to widen our perspective. We need each other's gifts to supplement our own abilities, and we need each other's assistance to help cross those thresholds that will be too high, too terrifying, or too bewildering to traverse on our own. True interdependence, she says, is what makes it possible to trust change. I want to conclude our reflections on change with an old Chinese wisdom tale, one shared by Reverend Herring in the chapter of her book in which she encourages all of us to welcome change with less reactivity and greater equanimity. She relates the story this way. A farmer tells his neighbor that one of his horses has run off, to which the neighbor replies, "How unfortunate. What bad luck." The farmer shrugs and says, "We'll see." A few days later, the farmer updates the neighbor, reporting that the stray horse has returned with a whole herd of wild horses, which the farmer is now going to keep. "Marvelous," exclaims the neighbor. "What good luck." And the farmer shrugs and says, "We'll see." Have you heard this one before? A week later, the farmer tells the neighbor that his son was breaking the wild horses in and was thrown from a horse and broke his leg. "That's terrible," the neighbor replies. "What bad luck." The farmer shrugs and says, "We'll see." The next month, a war is declared, and all able-bodied young men are required to report for military service. The farmer's son is still recuperating with his broken leg, and he stays home, while the neighbor's son must report for battle. "How fortunate you are," the neighbor says to the farmer, who predictably responds with a shrug and says, "We'll see." From ancient China to Wisconsin in 2022, The world is and always has been full of change and full of people managing it the best they can. What will the coming week bring? The rest of this month? The rest of this year? We'll see. And we know that change is certainly in the mix. May we greet change with our best selves, guided by and rooted in our deepest values, and held in the embrace of community. May it be so. Now I'll ask you to rise as you are able for our closing hymn, which is number 131. It's in the gray hymnal, and it will also be here on the screen. Love will guide us.
Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night. If you cannot sing like angels, if you cannot speak before thousands, you can give from deep within you. You can change the world with your love. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night.
I don't have the slide with the closing words again. All right, next time, I promise. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we will carry in our hearts until we meet again.
I was born by the river in a little town. Oh, and just like the river, I've been running ever since. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes, it will. It's been too hard living, but I'm afraid to die, 'cause I don't know what's out there beyond the sky. It's been a long time coming, but I know change gonna come. Oh, yes, it will. When I go to the movies and I go downtown, somebody keeps on telling me, don't hang around. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. it will. Then I go to my brother and I say, brother, help me please. But he winds up knocking me right back down on my knees. There have been times when I thought I couldn't last for long, but now I think I'm able to carry on. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes it will. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes it will.